Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you kindly for joining me again. This is for Monday, March 11th, 2024. So today is kind of the day that we've been watching for to see with the banks. Got a big week ahead. We're keeping an eye on our MMRI to watch for this risk, the 10-year yield, as well as the relative strength of the dollar. So, as it is at the moment, we've got futures have dipped a slight bit and they are kind of looking forward to what is going on with the inflation data and some other things going on. So, slightly in the red at the moment. We've still got the fear greed index in the greed area at the moment, but this could be an interesting day. Let's get into why. So, first off is the ending of the short term bank liquidity program that the Federal Reserve has. It's ending today. So the loans that they have taken will still continue through for the next 12 months, but they cannot get any new ones as of today. And we're expecting that will kind of have a wind in effect, that we're going to see some issues with some of the smaller banks if something else isn't done very soon here. So I kind of expect that they're going to push things a little farther as much as they can because it is an election year, election cycle, selection cycle. So with that, they always tend to put things forward at least until November. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. So we've got the calendar and some key things coming up. So not much as far as reports or anything coming out today. Kind of quiet. We'll see how the markets move. They may move just in anticipation. So Tuesday, we are getting core CPI. So if the inflation number comes in hot and it looks like inflation is still high, we could expect some serious weakness in the markets because they're going to understand that the Fed won't be hiking anytime soon. So watching that CPI, we've also got the 10-year note auction as well as the 30-year on Wednesday. So we'll be keeping an eye on who the buyers are and how those auctions go. We've got more job list numbers that'll be coming out on Thursday and Friday. And as we were saying yesterday, they really manipulate those numbers. So it's not so much the value in the numbers as to what's actually going on, but it's what they come out with because we know that the Federal Reserve will use those as an excuse for how they move. So with the key events this week, we've got our inflation data coming out. OPEC for oil, they're going to be giving their report. Then we're also getting PPIs, more inflation data from the producer side. We're going to be getting retail sales data. They kind of look at that as strength of the real economy. And I kind of watched several other factors as well. And then along with the jobless forms, and we'll just be watching these things throughout the week. So, as far as banking and the economy, this, as we were talking about, the current target for Fed rates and whether they're going to hike or not. So, currently, this is kind of what the market is expecting. I still think, and they're talking about this in the ECB now also, that they can uh, kind of cut their rates without the Federal Reserve. And as I said before, the prior report they put out kind of opened up the door. So I do believe the ECB will move first as well as Bank of England. We'll see. So this article came out that it is quote unquote logical that banks should be the responsible party for maintaining infrastructure for access to cash. So I want to know what you think about this. I think decentralization is much more interesting, and why a centralized bank should be the source for your cash, because the whole idea is to keep trade going. So, and banks were just a place you would store if you had something that you needed to put into. It's grown into a massive beast since then, but I thought that article was interesting. Speaking of decentralization, we've got Bitcoin. It shot through the 70,000 level. So that's a huge marker, but we're waiting for that to show some strength above that, probably retest that level and see if it can stay above there on a closing. So that's also going to be subject to some of the information that we get. Bitcoin is now moving very differently from the market and a bit differently from the tech market as it used to. So in the real economy, we've got, this is just one marker, historic Las Vegas Strip property closed and set for auction. We're watching more commercial properties in the West, not just the United States, but also in Europe, that are coming up for auction, selling for much less than what they were purchased for within the past 5 years. So we're watching discounts of anywhere between 50 and 83% off the price that they were purchased for recently. So the commercial real estate is really beginning to melt. So with this, we had China. They just had their national congress. So they kind of focused on their economy, not surprisingly, but they kind of focused all of their new, basically, their equivalent of legislation that they want to put forward and what they're going to be doing about their economy. And a lot of it focused on the real estate sector because it's a large downturn for them. So, with their China property crisis, their minister said, seriously, insolvent firms must go bankrupt. So, in essence, what they're saying is that the state is not going to back them with the free government money, which has propped up a lot of this to get to the point that we are at. And that was the massive amounts of building and also the construction loans that came out of this was because the state was uh, basically loaning all of this free money to build the infrastructure to get a leg up. So, a couple of other stories. We've got Elon Musk taking another swing at OpenAI. He's making basically Twitter, formerly known as Twitter X, the artificial intelligence chatbot that they have is called Grok. He has decided to make it open source, which I think is actually brilliant. So while that does have its downsides, what that means is that that will be open for development basically in a broad, open open view that anybody can take part in it, while Microsoft and OpenAI are locking theirs down. They're trying to get others to train their artificial intelligence, and he has just opened this up. So I think this will be very interesting moving forward. I think some of the best opportunities in tech are still not necessarily with the chips, which is what everybody's focused on, but in the programming and the service sector going forward. So we've got artificial intelligence talent war heating up in Europe. So people have realized this is the sector to go into. They've got a high rate of people without jobs. And so they're kind of trying to cross train and go into this new sector. And I admit I am as well for slightly bit different reasons. I'd like to kind of working with my own large language model. But anyway, so we've got a couple of other things. Pakistan, they're now using artificial intelligence powered criminal identification system. So when these things sound wonderful on the surface, when you look behind it, you have to think about how they meter out these criminals. And that means that they have to be identifying everybody and then they select out the criminals. So what that means is basically total lack of privacy. So this is something that couldn't really get into a dystopian future very easily. So I just wanted to bring out a reminder about these guys because they're about due out. If you're in the United States, particularly, I believe it's the southeast area where they're going to hit the most. They're called cicadas. And there's going to be, we would say, a plethora of these guys out everywhere. And I'm expecting we'll hear about it in the news because it should be epic. So I do want to give one short love update because I thought this was of interest as well for what's moving forward. So Princess Kate put out this picture, came basically from the palace, so was supposed to be a Mother's Day photo, but they found out that it had been touched up. There's got some errors in it. And so a lot of the news agencies cancelled it out because it basically as altered and they don't want to be publishing those photos. So they issued what they call a kill notification for the publication. So, and then she came out with a public apology for any confusion over the Mother's Day photo, saying she occasionally experiments with editing. So basically taking the heat for the photo being edited. But this photo being edited spurred a lot of things because the photo of her actually is older, of her face, and that this may not even be her because she just had surgery lately. So we'll see what happens with that anyway. With this, I'd like to urge you to build community. Hope you have a green trading day, wonderful day in general. Till I see you again, stay free.